Yeah, there are a couple of chapters associated with portfolios and constructing portfolio as well as uh, measuring the efficiency of the portfolio and a few aspects relating to that. So, whenever we are looking at creating a portfolio, because as a risk manager, one mechanism to reduce the risk is directly create a portfolio. Forget about hedging mechanisms and all that. To some extent, a portfolio will directly reduce the risk. On the top of that, probably you can use your hedging mechanisms, whether it is derivatives trading or any of the other aspects can be built on the top of the portfolio itself. So the initial mechanism that is typically being discussed as a part of risk reduction to some extent is creating a portfolio. Because the concept of portfolio is such that if you are combining two or more securities which do not have much of a correlation between them, or which have a negative correlation between them, automatically the risk between them actually comes down. So that is what without any, or even when you are getting into a derivatives market, probably if I say the when I am long on the asset and short in the futures market, right, the correlation between the prices in the spot market versus the futures market, long here, short here, when I take the correlation between the two, it may so come out that the correlation between them is very close to -1. So that is where we say negative correlation between the two securities will actually bring down the overall risk of the combination, and that is what we are calling them as portfolios. The more and more efficient we create those portfolios, they become more and more comfortable with respect to the risk mitigation kind of a process. So on these lines, probably it's better that we look at two data sets. Let's say I'm talking about two securities, A and B. It could be stocks, it could be bonds, it could be a combination of one is probably a derivative and the other one could be a stock, whatever it is. Let's say we talk about these two securities, and both of them, the returns associated with each one of them. Let's say this is 10% and this is 15%, whereas the risk between them, which is the standard deviation, if I measure the standard deviation, let's say this is 15% and this is 20%, right? And if I observe the correlation between the two securities, probably if I'm saying that the correlation is 0.5, now typically when I'm combining these two securities together, probably in some proportion, the typical return on the portfolio will come out as a weighted average return. Let's say I'm putting 30% in A and 70% in B. So 30% of the return of A plus 70% of the return of B, which is nothing but the weighted average of the returns. Whereas when we are talking about the risk measured in terms of portfolio variance comes out as the weightage in the first one multiplied by the variance of the first one plus weightage of the second one squared multiplied by the variance of the second plus 2W1 W2 the covariance. This part is very important aspect. It's not a weighted average of the standard deviations of the two securities, but it completely depends on the correlation between the two securities also. So if they are very positively correlated, probably the risk is higher, but if they are very negatively correlated, probably the risk can very much come down. That is what is the entire concept of portfolio management. You can very well reduce your risk without compromising too much on the return. So just to demonstrate this, if we are seeing, let's say now I invest some combinations in A and B. So I'll start right from 0%, 10%. I'll try to increase it in some proportions in A, and similarly I'll put the remaining proportion in B. So when I'm depositing my money more like this, as we said, the uh, return of the portfolio is nothing but the weighted average of the individual returns. So the weighted average, so the 0% times the return of A plus 100% times the return of B. So overall the return is 15% here if I invest it in 0 and 100 combination. Similarly, like this, the returns are going to go down. Similarly, when I am taking the standard deviation or probably the variance of the portfolio to start with, we will use that formula W1 squared variance of 1, which is sigma 1 squared, W2 squared sigma 2 squared plus 2W1 W2, the covariance between the two. So how do I find out the covariance? We have discussed it in quant. Covariance is nothing but correlation times correlation multiplied by the two individual standard deviations. So here it is coming out that the covariance is something like this for this example. Then when I am talking about variance, W1 squared, so the first one I am taking a square into the variance of the first one, which is nothing but the standard deviation square, plus W2 squared into the variance of the second, which is nothing but the standard deviation squared, plus 2W1 W2. So W1 W2 covariance between the two. So this is what is giving me the variance of the total portfolio. The same formula which we have looked at here, W1 squared plus sigma 1 squared plus W2 squared sigma 2 squared. That is giving me the variance of the portfolio. So in this case, the variance of the portfolio came like this. And probably if I am finding out the standard deviation of the portfolio, it is nothing but the square root of this variance. So this has come out to the standard deviation of the portfolio. Now, what are we observing here? There is no case where the return was lesser than. There is no case where the return is lesser than the least of the two. In all proportions of my investment, the return was lying between the minimum and the maximum itself, between 10 and 15% only. Whereas in case of risk, it has come down much below the individual risk, right? Which means there is, I mean, if I am looking at minimizing my risk, probably instead of investing in either A or in B, if I had invested in a combination of A and B, probably the 80-20 combination, this has reduced my risk drastically. So this is the intention of a portfolio management for us. And let's say for this same, I create one graph, right? I create one graph for this. Once I have done the standard deviation of the portfolio and the return of the portfolio, I'll create a scatter plot kind of a graph, which will showcase the relationship between, I'll take the standard deviation on the x-axis and the return of the portfolio on the y-axis. So when I take the return and the return on the x-axis, when I take the standard deviation on the x-axis and the returns of the portfolio on the y-axis, the graph which we are getting, this is the way we are getting the graph. What we are typically seeing is there is a kind of a curve that is coming up. This particular curve is actually called as the minimum variance frontier curve. This particular curve, which is coming just by plotting the standard deviation of the portfolio on the x-axis and the return of the portfolio on the y-axis, this particular curve is typically called as your minimum variance portfolio curve. Because why is it called as a minimum variance portfolio? If at all I am expecting some amount of a return, let's say for me I want 14% return. 14% return. If I draw a line here, this particular risk is the minimum amount of risk which you have to take to get a 14% return. So probably you have to look at it like this. For each level of return which you are expecting, look at it from the y-axis. For each level of return which you are expecting, what is the minimum amount of risk that you have to take? Especially for this combination of two securities A and B, if at all you are expecting a 14% return, the minimum amount of risk that you have to take is something around this 17 or 18% kind of thing. Similarly, if you are expecting a 12% return, then probably the minimum amount of risk which you should look out for is around 15%, slightly less than 15% itself. So that is what we call it as minimum variance frontier. So for each level of return, what is the level of risk that has to be taken? So it is for every level there is only 1 point corresponding to the risk. For each level of return there is only 1 point that is corresponding to the risk, and the joining of all those points is actually called as your minimum variance frontier in this. Now what we typically observe is just change the correlations here. Just for understanding the scenario, if I say the correlation between the two is 0, you see that the curve is more prominent. Means I can